Hello guys, I hope everyone had gone to this week coding question. So the first question is like the program will accept an integer n, okay? And the next step you will be accepting n integers, okay? And finally you will be printing a sum. So what is the sum means? Uh, it is the minimum sum after adding all the elements in the array after toggling one bit, okay? You'll be toggling one bit. It could be any bit, okay? At most one bit. You have to observe that you will be toggling at most one bit. So you have to toggle the first bit. It's not like the first bit when it comes in binary. The first bit, the utmost bit will be the last one, right? Like 2 power n will be the last one. It'll be kind of confusing. Now let us now dig in more. So when you take the first case, it's like 50, 10 and 8, right? So first let me take 15. Okay. So change this 15 into binary form. You'll be getting it, right? So the utmost bit is nothing but from the last, the binary order comes from the last, right? So utmost bit is nothing but this one. So you'll be tying up the utmost bit. So when it is 1 means it will be written as 0. When it is 0 means you will be written as 1. So that's what toggling up. And then this binary form will be again converted into decimal. So you will be converting all these elements in such form and you'll be adding it up. So that's what will be your output, right? So let us now implement this in Python. So first I'm gonna get the n value from the user. So n input, and next I'm gonna get n integers, right? So let us put this into a list called a in comma input dot split. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna iterate to all the elements in that particular list, so that for each element I'm gonna calculate the binary value and I'm gonna target the utmost bit, and then I'm gonna convert it again to the decimal value and I'm gonna sum it up. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So let us have a variable called sum, or okay, answer. So since sum is a keyword, let us change it to answer. So this answer will be having the final output. Okay, so for I in a, I'm gonna iterate to each element. Here I'm gonna do is b comma y. So b will be an empty array. So y so means this will hold the binary value of that particular element, and y is nothing but we'll see it up. Okay, y will hold the decimal value. Like we'll be converting the binary value to decimal value, right? The y will hold that value, and b will hold the binary value of that particular element. Right? Clear? Right. So now, so for j in bin of I. So bin of I will generally give the binary value of the particular element, and this will be in the form when you say binary in Python, this will be in the form like 0b, and you will be having the value. For example, you have to calculate the binary value for 10 means for 10 it will be like 1010, right? So first two elements will be 0 and b. So we don't need that. So exclude that. I'm gonna add this to colon. So from the second position, I'm gonna considering it, okay, and I'm gonna consider it in reverse so that I'm gonna append it from the last. So I'm gonna append these values from the last to the B array, okay. So now from the last, so from the reverse of that particular thing, for example, from to calculate something, like to calculate the decimal value, you will be considering from the last, right? So I'm gonna take the array from the last. So array is known as list in Python, so make it clear. So -1 -1, yeah. So if b of j is equal to 1 means I'm gonna do b is equal to 0 and break. So why I'm gonna break it up in the first test case itself, since I don't want to change toggle up all the bits. I want to only change the utmost bit. To consider the utmost bit, I'm doing only this. And now I'm gonna calculate the value of that particular binary. For that, I'm gonna consider another for loop for j in range of len of b. Here, if b of j is equal to 1, if it is b means I'm gonna consider 2 power that value. So you know how to calculate the decimal value from binary, right? The same logic. So 2 comma j. Okay. And finally, I'm gonna add this. Sorry. I'm gonna add this y to the answer variable. Sorry. Yeah. Finally, I'm gonna print the answer. So let us now check it out with the first test case. Okay. We have an error over here. Okay. I guess I missed a semicolon over here. Yeah. Yeah. Here we are getting the output as 4, but actually the output should be 9. So we did a mistake over here. To reverse a particular list, you will be giving colon, colon and -1. Since the parameters will be the start index, in stop index and the step, right? So you need to add another colon. That's my mistake. So let us now check it again. So 15, 10 and 8. Yeah, perfect. So let us now implement the same logic using C language. I'm going to take all these codes and I'm going to change the comment line over here. Okay. So the same logic will be implemented. That's no other change. But in Python, the implementation part will be, the coding part will be much easier, right? Since we have a lot of built-in functions. So a bit lengthy code in C, but it's fine. Okay. Now we are gonna include we need some header files, right? I'm gonna include that sd about our h and the string.h I need for string manipulations. And here I'm gonna declare the main function, can be void main too. So here I'm gonna declare a variable called n, and I'm gonna get the n value from the user. So the next thing we are gonna do is we have to get the n values from the user, right? So I array with size of n and some iterative variables a, I, and j. Okay, and b will be an array which will hold the binary values of each element. Okay, and answer is equal to 0 initially, and the y variable. Okay, yeah. So for I is equal to 0, I is lesser than n, and I plus plus, I'm gonna get the n values from the user. So scanf %d ampersand a of I. Yeah. So here I'm gonna calculate the binary value of each element. So I is equal to 0, I is lesser than n, and I plus plus. K is equal to 0, comma y is equal to 0. Okay, initially, if a of I is greater than 0 means b of k is equal to a of I modulus 2. So this will be calculating the binary value iteratively, and I'm incrementing the index value and decrementing the a of I value. Yeah. So out of this while loop, so for j is equal to k minus 1 and j is lesser than or equal to, sorry, greater than or equal to 0 and j minus minus. So here I'm gonna toggle up the first, that is the utmost bit. So if a of b of I, sorry, b of j is equal to 0 means I'm gonna set b of j equal to 1 and break it out of the loop. sorry, it will be like 1 and 0. Yeah, perfect. Out of this for loop, now I'm gonna calculate the decimal values of each toggled up, that is the final values. So I is equal to j is equal to 0, j is lesser than or equal lesser than k. Since the B array will be having up to k indexes, now I'm gonna calculate the binary values to decimal value, right? So it's be like if B of j is equal to 1 means I'm gonna add it up power of 2 comma j, and finally answer plus equal to y. So out of all these I'm gonna print the answer value. Yeah, so let us now run it up and check with the second test case. Here we got some errors. Yeah, I didn't include math.h. So let us now include the math.h header file. Sorry, over here. Okay, so the second test case is like 43, 32, 77 and 50. 40, right, perfect. So we are done with the first question. So let's now dive into the second question. So the second question is like you'll be accepting two strings. Okay, so you have to print S if B is a stretched version of string A, or else no. So how will you find either it's a stretch version of A or not? So when you take the first example, the string A is cake. The string is like 33CCC 3 times, and A is printed 3 times, K is printed 3 times, and E is printed 6 times. So all the characters in the first string is printed uniformly sometimes, okay, n times, okay. For example, n is equal to 3 means each character is printed 3 times. So it is a stretch version of string A, so I'm gonna print S. Okay, let me take up the second test case. So the second test case is like cake, and when you take this string B, C is repeated 2 times, A is repeated 4 times, K is repeated 3 times, and E is repeated 3 times. So there is no uniformity in repetition. So you have to print no. When you take the third test case, there is an unused character in B which is not in A. So that is obviously no. Okay. So it's like B should have only the characters in K, and there should be uniform repetition of all the characters. If if these two conditions satisfy, you can print else. Else, you have to print no. Okay. So let us now implement this using Python first. So first, I'm gonna get the A string from the user. So input dot strip and B string from the user. Okay, so here I'm going to use a third string C, so for manipulation purposes, and D will, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first check the uniformity character. So how many times a character can be repeated. For example, the first set is repeated 3, so all the characters should be repeated only 3 times. So I'm going to find the count. So D is equal to B dot count of A of 0, okay, divided by A dot count of A of 0. This will return that particular count. Okay, so if D into len of A is equal to len of B. Okay, if it is so, you can check all the conditions for I in A. So C plus is equal to I into D. So each character will be repeated d times. Okay, so that's what the C string will be obviously having the correct answer. So you'll be checking the B string with the C string. That's what. So if B is equal to C means I'm gonna print S. Okay. Else I'm gonna print no. If the length itself is not satisfied means I'm gonna print no. Correct. So I'm gonna get two strings from the user and I'm gonna declare a third string. Okay. So first I'm gonna count how much time the first character is repeated. For example, when you take C, C is repeated two times. Okay. So and then if 2 into length of the string A is equal to the length of B means if it is so, I'm gonna create that particular stretched version of that string A. Okay, and then I'm gonna check if B is equal to the stretch version which I found means it will be printing yes, else it will be printing no. If the length itself is not satisfied, I'm gonna print no. Okay, so let me say kick C C C A K K K E. Yes, perfect. So let's now implement this using C. I want to change the comment lines. I want to remove this code too. Okay, so yeah. I'm gonna include the header file. So I have to include stdio.h and I have to include string.h. I'm gonna include them, declare the main function, and I'm gonna declare a character A, character A B, and to find the stretched version, I'm gonna use a character A C. So here I'm gonna get those two strings A and B from the user. So percentage yes slash n. So it is in the new line, right? So slash n I'm using, and A comma B. Yeah. So int m is equal to this will hold the length of. So let us say length of A itself to make you understand better. So this will hold the length of string A and length of A is equal to this will hold the length of string B. Okay. So now I have to find the D value, right? So what is the repeat count that can be used? So for A is equal to 1. So I need some variables I and J. Okay. And x and y. X is equal to 1 and y is equal to 0. So I'll say y it is so then. So I is equal to 1. From the first character I'm gonna compare lesser than len of a and I plus plus. Okay. So if a of I equal to a of 0 means it will be like x plus plus. Why x is equal to 1 means obviously one character will be. So for example, I'm gonna consider, let us say this character C. Now I'm gonna check how many times this C has occurred in that particular string. Okay, so obviously one time C will be occurred. The other times I'm gonna check. This is what I'm doing over here. And now let us move into the second string and check. I is equal to 0, I is lesser than n and I plus plus. If B of I is equal to A of 0. So how many times this first character in A string is repeated in B string. So that's why Y is equal to 0, not 1. So the character can be present in string B. The characters in string A can also be present and may not be present too. So that y is equal to 0 and int d is equal to 10j. Yeah. And here I'm gonna set a flag value is equal to 0 to check it's equal or not. Yeah. So I need a iterating variable to iterate to the indexes of character array C. Now I'm gonna find the stretched version of the string A. So if d into m is equal to n, that is len of A is equal to len of B. For I is equal to 0, I is lesser than len of A. It's not n, it's len of B. I'm sorry. Yeah, I plus plus. For j is equal to 0, j is lesser than len of B and j plus plus. So if C of k will be A of A. Okay. So now I'm gonna check either C and B are equal. So for I is equal to 0, I is lesser than k and I plus plus. If B of I not equal to C of I means I'm gonna set the flag value is equal to 1 and break it out of the loop. Okay. So outside this loop, I'm gonna check whether if flag value equal to 0 means I'm gonna printf s, else I'm gonna print no. And outside of this loop, if the condition itself is not satisfied, I'm gonna print no. So I have to include a else over here. If the condition itself is not satisfied, I'm gonna print no. Yeah, perfect. So let us now test with the third test case maybe. Yeah guys, yeah, it's perfect. So we have done with the two coding questions. So you can just check out with any random test cases if you like. If you have any doubts, you can reach out to our discussion forum. Thank you.